You see, they have great vision in the day. They have even better vision at night. But in the failing light, they can't focus. Magic hour.
Yeah, welcome to RPG Boons live stream. I'm Don Franco 3. This is RPG Boons, where we talk about everything RPG and how everything is RP. Today's going to be another one of those in vivo live play streams. It should not take more than 30 to 40 minutes. As you guys know, it's a little bit railroady because we're playing in vivo, and I want everybody to be able to follow along and play. So we're just gonna play it out as is. So first things first, as always, we need to make a character. Now, I've shown this at least 3 other videos, so I think I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this, but let's go ahead and take a look at character generation. So this mostly works well for Shadowdark. If you haven't played Shadowdark, it's basically 1st edition and 5th edition combined, but it plays just fine. It's Dungeons and Dragons essentially, and you should be able to play along. Now, the first thing I wanted to point to is shadowdarklings.net/create, where you can go and create any character that you want. I'm playing with this a little bit. If you want to just play with the core classes, you can uncheck any of these scrolls. And then you can just move down to random one, best fit, and generate a character. Right? If you really want to pick a specific type of class, you can go down here and actually change them. So basically, in this case, it says thief. Thief might need really good dexterity. You see the dexterity is high there at the bottom there. So you can actually proceed with this character. Today, we're going to be looking for a missing scout in a forest. So it's up to you who you want to play. So here's an example. You can now gain levels, right? So it says 10 points. When I gain the level, I'll gain level 2. And then I'm going to add 20 more experience points because our characters need to be level 3 to really be able to stand a chance in these games. So gain level 3. Now, once you do that, you can add more hit points, You're going to get more talents, and then give yourself bonuses. We want higher dexterity for this guy. Then we're essentially done at this point. We want to hit PDF. And what this nicely does is it just creates a PDF for you. And now you have a character that you can play with. Okay. So go ahead and create your character real quick. You can see I've made a few other different kinds. Here's a human. You can screenshot these if you don't want to bother. This is a human priest. Here's a halfling ranger and a human wizard. What is Sam as a thief? Maybe we should be very quick. I'll make a fighter just in case you don't want to spend the time on it. So let me go ahead and click fighter. Roll for talent. Roll for hit points. We want to give him some XP just to show you how quick you can make your characters. Okay, I'm going to show you the Shadowdark because we're going to essentially be playing Shadowdark, which is essentially 1E, 5E, Dungeons and Dragons. Roll for hit points, gain an armor mastery. We're going to choose chainmail, and then we're just going to hit PDF. We got Sam number 2. Here's the character sheet. Halfling fighter. Again, you can go there and create your own character, or you can choose to be a priest. Here are all his spells. Screenshot that. Or you can be a wizard, and we can go down here, so you can pause there for a second. Then we can get all your spells as well. Now, the other way to get a character on here is using the fastcharactersheet.com. I've already jumped the gun here. Let's go in and hit back here real quick, so I don't want this to take too long. I just want to show you very quickly. I'm choosing BX character, although you can run a D&D 5e character, except you only have an action, and a move, or a move and a move, and that's it. Okay, because we're going to be using the 2-point action system. And yeah, maybe don't use 5th edition character, right? But let's hit BX. You can see how fast this is. Level 3. This is fastcharactersheet.com. And old school D&D, you could be a race was actually your class as well. And it's going to create a character that best fits your class. So we're going to choose, oh, Alpha is the class. Okay, so then just click create. And you can see it created a fighter. Well, sorry, an Alpha character, armor class, hit points. You can see it has the old school style armor class, but if you look down here, a 5 is equivalent to a 12. Well, actually, this doesn't have the correct one. Well, a 5 armor class, if you're able to screenshot this. Let's look back at our base thing here. A 5 armor class is going to basically be a 15 armor class. Okay, so you can screenshot this again. You can see that normal man, whatever the armor class is given to you for the BX character, looking at normal man tells you the actual armor classes that you'll have for the game. In addition, you want to have bonus modifiers for those ability scores. We're using Shadowdarks, so whatever the numbers are, you just put those bonuses there. And we're going to be using the 2-point combat action system, looking at medium spell power, medium magic in your world. So you get all the standard move, melee, and spell casts. In Shadowdark, you can only move, attack, or move, but you can never attack. In a 2-point combat action system, you can actually do a second attack, but you have to take a -3 penalty because they'll be ready for that second attack. So only if it's a second attack. In addition, in this 2-point action system, you can spell cast, but they can only be tier 1 spells. Okay, this is for Shadowdark. We can parry, we can dive. Dive is a last resort to dive out of the way of getting attacked, because you can see you dive to a line of sight space, -5 to the attacker, you fall prone. Then I created my own jump formula here, and it takes 1 point to actually stand up. So you get 2 points at the beginning of your round. Sorry, at the end of, from the beginning, when you start the combat round, you got to the very next end of your turn to use up your points. So you start with 2. Then when it's your turn, you can do attack, move, attack, spend point for each of those, or parry, so that is a reaction, or you can dive out of the way for a point, and then whatever points left over for your turn, you use that. Okay, so with that being said, you've generated your character. Let us begin. Oh, one more thing. I recommend going to this dieharddice.com/pages/dice roller, because they have a virtual dice roller here. And this is what I'm going to be using to attack you with my monsters. You can see there it is. Very nice and big. You can just click on it, toss it, roll it. I got a 17. It also tells you the result there. You can sweep it, get it out of the way. Click on the dice again. At 20, baby. Sweep it, get it out of the way. So this is what I'm going to be using for having monsters attack you. All right, now let us begin. It all starts here in the small hamlet known as World's End. It's been around several hundred years since the fall of civilization. Humans, beings, and humanoids alike meddled with magic just a little too much, causing the collapse of civilization. And here in World's End, it's at the edge of known civilization, because all the cities were destroyed. Everybody's essentially made lives in small towns. And then over several hundred years, all the fauna, the plants, the trees have grown over all the ancient cities. The ancient cities have decayed. A lot of magic knowledge has been lost. And so we are now what I would call the age of ruin. But we want to get to that renaissance. You are the adventurer. You make it to World's End, because that is the frontier, the edge of your known civilization. And everything past that's going to be ancient civilization. This is all you know. You're on the continent of Astoria. And you've arrived here at World's End. I believe you should be able to see my arrow, and indeed you can. So you enter through these gates. As you enter, you are checked by the people because this is a dangerous world. There are guards. A lot of these people are just normal commoners, but they all have a little bit of grit to them. They all wear some type of armor because this is the age of civilization. They expect trouble. Okay, so you get into town. This is the town inn. You can bunk up there. This is the town market where you can just find just about anything you can think of. And you've been there for a couple of days trying to figure out what are you going to do with your life. Well, that's up to you. What are your character's motives? Maybe you just want a few thousand gold to get your own farm, your own land, and live out your life and have a normal life, or provide wealth or this farm for your children. Do you have children? Do you want to be a bachelor? All up to you. Nonetheless, you're here for an adventure. So the way towns communicate in this time is using scouts. And the scouts from World's End are constantly sending messengers to the north, to the south, to the west, and very rarely to the east because that's not where a lot of civilization resides. Recently, a lot of the scouts going to the north have been frightened of crazy noises coming from the forest. And the most recent scout did not return. Upon sending another scout to check up on that scout did not return. So here you are at World's End. And I ask you, do you want to participate? Of course, the answer is yes, because you're here. So you decide to take the call of the town mayor to go investigate what happened to the scout. Now, what I want to do now is I want you, based on your charisma, I want you to convince the mayor that you want some help. And if you can make a DC 10 charisma check, a persuasion check, you can roll a D6, and this is how many henchmen the mayor's going to give you. In addition to 2, you might want to convince them that it's more dangerous. Now, the henchmen are going to work a little bit different in this game. If you take a hit and it causes significant amount of damage, you can instead sacrifice a henchman to in the place of that damage, and that henchman dies basically for you in the heat of battle. So make your DC 10 charisma check, and I'm just going to assume that you succeeded. Now, if you have a D6 on you, go ahead and roll it. That's going to tell you how many henchmen plus 2, or I can roll it for you. You're a 3rd level character, you have so many hit points, and you have your weapons. So you can take my 2 plus 2 is 4. It's up to you. So with the 2 henchmen plus whatever you gained or were able to gain with your DC 10 charisma check of persuasion, you leave the town and you begin to head north. World's End Hamlet. On your way through these plains, so these plains only exist because trees have been cut down. And here you are. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. You should be at 250. Now, here you are going down the path. And here at this path, you're going again, 2 henchmen plus whatever you were able to roll. You're going down this path, and I want you to make a wisdom check or a perception check, whatever you have. DC 10 to see if you hear noise down the trail. Go ahead and do that. If you do, Then you stop, you take a look, and to the east, you see a wolf there. Okay, so I'm going to give you the option of A, do you engage the wolf, you and your henchmen? Or do you want to just ignore the wolf, go through these trees here on the left, go around it, the wolf, and avoid the wolf? Okay. Now, this is where if you didn't make that perception check, you walk in to this trap with this wolf. It's not really a trap, but he's there. He sees you. He's aggressive. He's hungry. He's a big boy. And he's going to go after you. Now, you see the stats there on the right. Armor class of 12, 19 hit points. Has 2 bite attacks that do 1d8 points of damage plus 4 to hit. I want you to first make, I would say, 2 ranged attacks before he reaches you for melee combat. So go ahead and do that. And if you're doing damage to the wolf, subtract the damage. Now, in order for us to continue, if you're fighting the wolf, you need to pause the video and play it out. Remember, you can go to Dice Roller, grab your 20, roll here at Dice Roller, and here's the stats. And basically, you roll your 2 attacks if he's in melee range, or if you're in ranged, well, you have to go into melee range because he's up to you. So you have to do 2 attacks because we're using a 2-point combat action system. And therefore, you're going to get -3 penalty on that second attack. And anytime you take damage, you have to keep track of your henchmen. Every time you take damage, you can take the damage or you can lose a henchman. That's right. Your henchmen only have basically 1 hit point. So they're like minions. And so if they get hit, they're done. Otherwise, you continue to attack. I'm just assuming you're playing it out. You pause the video. And now we're going to continue. So at this point, you've either avoided the wolf or you've killed the wolf. You're in the trail. You continue to go down the trail. You travel for at least 30 minutes. It's all daytime. You're going during the day. You know it's dangerous at nighttime. Monsters are always wandering about. And you finally arrive at a point in the road where you can see some type of scuffle has happened. I'm not going to let you make a perception check because what you see is you see some letters on the floor, you see some papers, and then you actually see dragging marks going north. Okay, I want you don't need to make any kind of roll, but you're definitely deciding to go up this path. Okay, so you're going through these trees. If you want to do it stealthily, go ahead and make a stealth roll, DC 10. And you can stealth through here. And as you continue to go through these trees, you can make a perception check. That perception check is going to be a DC 20. Actually, it's like a DC 10 and a DC 20. So go ahead and roll a perception check or a wisdom check to see if you see something down the road. Remember, no metagaming, but if you got a DC 10, you obviously see the dead body here. It's laying there. You take a look around. You don't notice anything that's off. And you slowly approach the body on the floor. As you get there, you realize this man matches the description of the scout that's been missing. Okay. If you roll higher than a 20, DC 20, at the distance over here in these trees, you notice these 2 weird trunks of a tree. They kind of like, it just looks unusual. It kind of looks like bark, but from this range you really can't tell. And currently you're standing right here. Now I want you to make one more perception check. Actually, make an investigation check, so an intelligence check. You're at these two different weird tree stumps here. You've looked at the body. There's missing some of the male. So the males he lost previously on the trail, he doesn't have it. He also doesn't have his weapons. He typically just has like a short sword. He's wearing leather armor. Make that intelligence investigation check. DC 15. Now, if you succeeded, as you're looking at those two pillars of what appear to be tree trunks, you notice that it's something else. As you're following it up, looking up at the tree trunks, you actually notice something there. You see a loincloth. And as you're looking there and you see a loincloth, you start looking up and you realize there is a ogre, much bigger than a normal ogre, just standing there looking at you. Okay. Now, what I want you to do now, there's two things you can do. Actually, you just need to decide. If you investigated and you got your DC 15 check correct, then you see this. Okay, I'm going to allow you to take 2 ranged attacks at this ogre. And let me go ahead and grab his stat block real quick. We'll pull it off over here to the side so we can have it here with us. Okay. Now remember, you're standing right here. You see he's looking down at you, but he doesn't notice that you notice him if you got the investigation check correct. Okay, so you can take 2 attacks, AC 9, long range attacks. I just give them to you. Go ahead and make 2 attacks. You're able to fire off 2 rounds, either a dagger or a bow and arrow. If you got that, check your character sheet, see what you have. If you failed your investigation check of 15, this very big ogre rushes forward towards you. No, sorry, apologies. If you failed, you get curious and you start approaching the ogre. Okay. And as you approach the ogre, which to you right now it looks like tree trunks because you failed your investigation check. As you're there and you're putting your hand on the legs of this tree trunk looking thing, you realize it's an ogre, and he immediately swings at you with his great club. So let's roll that. Uh-oh, crash and burn. Stupid die roller. Give me 1 second. Why did you do this to me? Boom. Nat 1. He misses you. Okay. But he has 2 attacks. An 8. So this one was actually a 1 + 6, 7, and an 8 + 6 is 14. Check your armor class. If you took a hit on well, I'm pretty sure you didn't take a hit from the first one, but you definitely you potentially took a hit from the second one. So I'm going to roll 2d6 damage. Oh my god, 11 points of damage. Okay, so you may have taken 11 points of damage. Now, if you have your own dice, you can play it out. You have to fight this ogre to the death. That's right. 30 hit points. You have henchmen. Anytime you don't want to take damage, your henchman dies. We're using the 2-point action combat system. You can attack twice. First attack has no penalty. Second attack has a -3 penalty. If you're a spellcaster, you can cast 2 spells, but your second spell can only be a tier 1 spell. Now, the reason you get no penalties is because if you're a magic user, like a priest or a wizard, if you fail your spell, you no longer can use the spell. So firing off 2 spells at this ogre, you take a high risk of losing your spells until you get a long rest again, right? So go ahead and play this out. 2-point combat action system. Screenshot the ogre here, HP 30. I can roll a few times for you if you'd like. Ogre, 2 attacks next round. A 17 and a 14. I'm gonna roll for first 2d6, 9 points of damage. Second 2d6. Oops, sorry. 2. 18 points of damage for that second 2d6. Oops, sorry, that's looking terrible. Okay. 4 points of damage for that second attack. I'm gonna roll just a couple more times in case you need it. So first you get to do your attacks, so you can do your spells. Then I roll my 2. These are definitely killers. So I rolled an 18 and I rolled a 10, which is actually a 16 and a 24. Unless you have shield or something. First attack, 11 points of damage. Second attack, 7 points of damage. And I'm gonna fire off at least 2 more attacks. So you take your attacks again, 2-point action system. Let's take a look at that in case you missed the screenshot. Here it is. You get 2 points at the start of your turn, and they replenish at the end of your next turn. Actually, they replenish at the end of your turn. So you got 2 points to start. You do your 2 maneuvers, and then you get 2 points back. You can use 2 of those points for reactions if you need to, or you save those 2 points so it's actually your turn, and you could do a move, melee, spellcast for a primary move, and a secondary move could be a second move, second attack, or a second spellcast. We got the parry in case you want to react. Okay. So I'm going to roll a couple more times for the ogre, because this guy's fighting deadly. He gets 2 attacks. 15 plus 6 is 21. I'm rolling good, man. Plus another, saying 15, so either way. It's kind of odd here, but yes, it's 15. 6, so this is going to be 22. Those are really high numbers. Apologies. First attack does 11 points. Second attack does 6 points. Okay. I'm going to do 1 more attack because I think it's likely you may have killed the ogre by now, or you're close to doing it. First attack plus 6 is 13. Plus 6 is 23. Okay. And I'm going to do 2d6. That's 6 points of damage. And 7 points of damage. All right. So I'm going to pause for a second here, let you finish out the battle. If you have your virtual dice roller. At this point, I think this ogre has caused at least 6 body counts of damage, and you're probably hurt. And if you don't have dice, I recommend the flipping coin method. Because he has an armor class of 9, it's almost a 50-50, so you can just flip heads. He hits you, tails he misses, flip it twice, and he'll do basically 5 points. No, 6 points of damage per hit, or yeah, 6 points of damage per hit. Okay, so go ahead and pause that. Now, this is with the assumption that you've killed this ogre. Okay. A lot of scuffling sounds, a lot of attacking, people dying, potentially henchmen dying, not henchmen. Yeah, your henchmen dying, battling, and with the final blow that you give this ogre, he lets out a giant scream and falls to his knees, to the ground. Or if you want to have a killer blow, I'll let you do that. Add it for your narrative. As you're standing there, you're collecting the courier stuff, taking the messages that he did have. You also picked up the older messages. You start hearing rumbling in the forest. Okay. You see trees moving in the distance, side to side. Something occurs to you. There's more than one. You start hearing probably sounds horrible on the mic. And 2 more ogres begin to come. At this point, you decide to make a break for it. You run as fast as you can out of there. And as you're running away, you hear the ogre saying, "Brother, no! Damn you, human! I kill later." And with that, you take the scout stuff. You can choose to take the body with you if you're a lawful character. I will allow that. But you do escape. You go back through the forest where you were and make it back all the way to Rope's End. Report to the mayor. He gives you 50 gold pieces for your trouble. Thanks he would give you for giving him the messages. He starts asking for new volunteers. And as you're standing there with the mayor at the entrance up here, you're basically right outside as you came in over here from the original entrance point. You look up, you're talking to him here, the mayor right inside town, and you hear guards from the tower saying, "Over there! Over there!" And you run up these stairs into the towers with the mayor. They look up and you can see 2 ogres coming through the trees. And we're gonna stop there because again, these are meant to be short little scenarios that you can play, get your fix for D&D. And we're gonna stop there and we're gonna continue it on the next live stream. I'm Don Franco 3. This is the Twilight Hour. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. And check out any of my other videos, the regular videos, the edited ones. See you later. Enjoy your weekend.